So, welcome to Connecting Colorado, empowering library leadership with modern recruitment tools. When asked what keeps library directors up at night, two of the top three responses were HR and compliance with the law. I'm Polly Gallagher, Colorado State Library Public Library Leadership Senior Consultant. And as part of CSL's mission to provide you with expertise based on your needs, I'm pleased to introduce Tom Lopez and Chandon Hand, Business Development Representatives from Workforce Colorado Rural Alliance. Many of our Colorado public libraries have a relationship with Workforce Colorado for our patrons. What many aren't aware is that there are many resources available to public libraries as employers in the state of Colorado. So today, Chandon and Tom will focus on Connecting Colorado platform to act as a bridge between talented job seekers and local employers. As a reminder to participants, feel free to drop your questions into the chat as we go along, and we'll have a Q&A as we go and towards the close of our session today. Tom, Chandon, I'll pass it to you.
Thanks, Polly. Thanks for having us. We are excited to go over the new Connecting Colorado today to just highlight all of the amazing free tools that are available to you as library directors. And we have an exciting presentation today going over Connecting Colorado. Before we start that, like Polly said, my name is Chandon Han. I'm a business development rep. I'm based out of Pueblo and I cover kind of the Southeast region. Tom is another business development rep covering Central, Southeast, and Southwest. So we're happy today. We're with the Workforce Colorado Rural Alliance. So we cover the 51 counties surrounding basically the metro corridor. We do work closely with all of the workforce centers in that region as well as part of a larger business group. So really our goal, just really briefly, is to help job seekers, find employers. And as employers, we are trying to connect you with that talent in our system. So moving forward, services for job seekers, just very briefly, I know this is focused on employers, is we have access to computers to Connecting Colorado for job seekers on that side of the platform, help with resumes. I do know I work with some libraries here in my region, and they do a lot of those services as well. So we appreciate that partnership. But we do have training funds to assist with certain individuals to help them along their career journey. So services for business, really our main goal here is to help businesses grow, to help them get the staff that they need, and to create thriving communities. So here's based Tom and I do and the rest of the team spread throughout the state is job posting. So we're going to go in, we're going to do a live demo of the Connecting Colorado platform to show you what it looks like for employers if you decide to utilize it to seek talent out. We're going to go into that. Hiring events, if you have a tough to fill position or are looking for, let's say, summer internships or help, that's something that we can assist with as well. Community connections. I love working with the libraries in my area. I know we are connected to many community partnerships and community members. So we can act as a connector to different groups. We do employer workshops. We have a lunch and learn monthly. So if you're interested in that, just let me know or drop your email in the chat and we'll add you to the list. So we go over youth labor laws. That was our last one. We went over an AI writing job descriptions. I hosted that one. Just many different skills first topics. A lot of great information. If you can't join, we always record them and send out the slide decks. Training. We have programs, like I said, that assist with training. So the next section, Tom is going to go into labor market information. I know have helped one library, try to fill a position, and it was pretty tough to find the talent that they were looking for. And this is where utilizing skills first, Tom's going to go into that a bit, can really assist in that if there aren't certain requirements or breaking down those requirements, I should say. And he's going to show you a tool that we use to assist you. Again, all of this is free, so I'll pass it over to Tom to share his screen. And while he's doing that, are there any questions right off the bat that anyone wants to ask while he's doing that?
All right, no questions then. We'll move forward if that's okay. Anybody come in the chat there, Shandon, or you notice? Can you see my screen at this point?
Yeah, you're good to go and no
Okay.
questions.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll have some questions here. We've got some great information that we're, as a state, a Department of Labor and whatnot, one of our goals is to train on hiring or skills first hiring. And what that means is when employers want to put a job posting up, we want to make sure that they're listing the job according to the skills that they're looking for in an applicant. And I'd like to share a couple reports that we helped that. The first one, as you see on your screen right now, is called Livecast. This is a national database that they consolidate various information like Department of Labor, states across the nation, and so on. And they also provide labor market information, which I'll share as we go through this process. And feel free to ask questions, or if I'm going too fast or anything like that, or something you don't understand, by all means, we can stop and revisit that, or hopefully I can clarify it further. So this is Lightcast, and this is a subscription-only program. So we have this tool from the state level, but we use this big time for employers because we can provide them all kinds of various information from salaries, see if to make sure they're competitive on their salaries to other business functionalities and concerns. And so it's very unique and it's very awesome. I'm really gung-ho about this. So let's just dive right into it. So when it comes to skills first hiring, we like to consolidate, combine things with light skills. What they do is they provide, or Lightcast rather, what they do is they provide all the tasks and skills in an industry or occupation. And so and we're going to go through that. So we like to go through three different reports. This is occupation. And what we're going to do first is look at the skills transferability. And what this does or allows us to, if you guys have a job you'd like to look at, that would be awesome. But let's just do I don't know, accountant, for example. And we're gonna look at that. And this morning I did Weld County as another presentation. I'm going to leave it at that. Lightcast spans over 5 years. However, you can break it down further or less time if you want, because Lightcast estimates things that are happening in the next 5 years. So they can show information about their accountants, how many jobs are going to be added over that period of time, or they're going to be decreased, and so on and so forth. So that's why we do that. But I'm just going to run this report. And what's happening here is that in Weld County, it'll tell us the average minimum wage for 40 is $41.06 in Weld County for an accountant. And so it has all this labor market information that we can actually do, and so much that we don't even have time in this session to do it. But it also shows some similar other jobs that pertain to this kind of line of work. But we can look at all these things. But the area that we want to concentrate is this section here called competencies. And you'll see the first list is, if the center of the screen is knowledge. So anyone who wants to be an accountant for an employer or an accounting agency, this is in the industry wide, this is some of the knowledge that person should come with. economics and accounting, mathematics, clerical. And some of these that are listed here, you would never even think of because you would think, well, accountant would need to know that. But the industry, some places they require some of this knowledge. Public safety and security. I mean, depending on your firm or your office, some of this may or may not apply. But as we go down the line here, you can see how important they are. The most important one is economics and accounting. That's a high number of 91 out of 100, if you will, and 83 is the level. So that's about only 83%, if you will, have that knowledge, even though the importance is a little higher. So this shows and tells employers that how they're looking with that type of knowledge and so on. So we've got various types of knowledges that are required according to the industry standard that Lightcast has collected all this information from. But this one here in the middle is called skills, and here's where the skills come into play. We will share with the industry or an employer, what are some of the skills for an accountant? And so we start with reading comprehension and critical thinking and monitoring. And these may seem like they're pretty common for us or for the standard, but if you're not an accountant and you go into a place and they want to train you on something, that these are some of the skills that you most likely never thought of. But if we look at some job descriptions, even today, these skills are not listed in those job descriptions, okay? Because they assume that an accountant who's going to apply for an accounting job, they're going to know this stuff, but it doesn't hold true. We get so many employers to say, hey, we don't have enough qualified candidates who are applying for these jobs that we have open. And so what we're trying to do right now is work with these employers to allow them and give them these tools to enhance their job descriptions by putting in this. One way to look at this is by it's called the what and the how. Okay, what is it that you're looking for? What kind of skill, and then how are they going to do that? And if you ever have new equipment like new accounting software that's brought in or a computer system, and you're looking for new people to run that, and you don't want to just put on your computer savvy. I mean, that would help, but you want to be more specific. And so if it's a brand new application, most people will run on Intuit or some of those other applications. Don't assume that everybody's using the same thing. So you want to be specific as to what the skill should be, writing, active learning, and some of these other things that come into play. So what we do is we take these skills and then we apply the task to it. And I'll demonstrate that here in a minute. But this is the tools that we use with the employers. And currently, I'm working with 2 counties in the south central part, or actually in the valley here in the south part of the state, on doing this procedure. They want to go through and just revamp their job descriptions for the entire countywide. So, which is exciting. But those are the skills. And this is a screen that we share with them. Now we can look at abilities. Now, if someone applies for an accounting position in Weld County or anywhere, basically, these are the abilities this person should bring to the table. And again, there are some things listed here that are not as common as you may think. We don't think about them on a daily basis. Job seekers may not think about it when they're working on an application or a resume. So it's better for them to also have this knowledge. And we're working to hopefully work with job seekers so they can sort of match the skills that these employers are looking for. It's an ongoing process. It is going to take some time, but that's the goal. So we can start looking at skills over other credentials such as education. Now, granted, there are some professions out there and occupations that require a BA or an AA or some other sort of degree, such as the medical field and some other areas. So, so those, especially like when it comes to the Department of Human Services, the state requires in childcare and some of the other departments, they must have that degree in that field. So we understand that. So not all positions that are going to be posted are going to be just skills first hiring, but if you're willing to train someone and or send them to school as an employer, that type of thing, then it would work for that as well. So there's various options that you can take moving forward, but this is what we do. We share with the folks. Now, another report that I'll go into. Again, this gives them the what. Okay, and we'll do the how here momentarily. But let me go back up here, and I will go into the next report. We'll go into job posting, and we're going to look at the analytics for job posting, and this will show again when we have again I'm going to put in the accounting in there, but when we have all these resources that we can help the employer. So, and we can go as deep as you want or as light as we want based on your needs as an employer. And you folks in the library system, again, as Shandon mentioned, if you have jobs or internships or things of that nature, we can help create those job descriptions. Right here, there's a list of similar occupations close to that. It knows that I'm in Weld County, so I'm going to only do the last few months for Weld County, and I'm just going to run that. And this is what we're going to look at. So it tells us, as part of the labor market information, there are 77 unique postings in Weld County right now. 30 companies are looking for accountants right now, and it's averaging 31 days to hire someone or fill that in. And 2.1 basically means that there's a job that is posted on two different platforms. Could be Indeed.com and could be Connecting Colorado, that type of thing. It talks about the average wage based on the location and so on and so forth. This is all part of the labor market information that we could provide any employer. And so again, we help with whether you are competitive with your salary or not. If a local county nearby is paying more for the same position, that may be why you're not getting the qualified candidates you're looking for, etc. So, but the area we want to concentrate, and there's so much information here. There's pages and pages of information that we can actually do, but it also shows who's hiring here for the accounting positions and so on. But again, we want to come down here to the bottom and look at the in-demand skills. This is what's really interesting. And when I work with employers, they look at this and say, wow, I never knew this. And here's why. If you look at the darker blue or black line, for accounting, that's the frequency in job postings. Okay. So that is about, let's see what it is, 90% have it in the job posting, but only 77% of those applicants have that accounting experience or what they're looking for. Okay, so we can look at these job postings over time, and we can determine. And if you notice, the dark blue line is always longer than the others because these are profiles from job applicants, and they're not always meeting the expectation. Thus, they're not getting the qualified candidates they're looking for, and we get that all the time, as I mentioned early on. So, but these are just some of the skills that they should have. External auditing is, for example, is at 44%, but only of the job applicants, only 1% have that external auditing. So when we're talking job descriptions with an employer, we want to be specific as to what you're looking for in your skills and so on. And of course, we know that many employers have been using a job description over the last 10, 15, 20 years, and they don't change it. So we want to show them and work with them to how to change it, how to attract those job seekers that they truly are looking for. This will eliminate dozens, if not hundreds, of applicants applying for a job they're truly not even eligible for, that type of thing. So this is an area that kind of sets employers aback because they're not truly aware of this until they see this. And down here, we also know what skills are growing or rapidly growing. More people need to be more in the accounting industry or have knowledge of that. Some of these are growing or rapidly growing. Sometimes you'll see some of these are stagnant or lagging. So it tells us what skills are in the industry, what are lagging or growing or rapidly growing. So this is an urgent need. For example, auditing is rapidly growing as a skill for this occupation. Okay, and then the final uh, report I'm looking at, or we'll look at, is the occupational snapshot, and that is I got to keep moving this guy around. Uh, let's see. Uh, Give me 1 second. Bear with me. I apologize. There it is. The occupational snapshot. And again, we're looking at the same position. I'll just put account specialist again in Weld County, and we can do, as I mentioned, any location in the industry or nationwide or what have you. So right now we're looking at Weld County. So all this information will show us, this is a map, all the different areas in Weld County. Again, it talks about the average compensation and so on and so forth, how many jobs are in demand, how many jobs are there truly in the area, 59 according to this one here. But it talks about growth. Is this going to be growing? And this is where the 5 year span comes in. 20 to 25, they were down 19%. And between 25 and 2030, they're going to lose another 5% of these positions. So that position is not going to be growing like it as once was. So, but again, what we concentrate on, and again, it has demographics. It tells us who in Weld County, what age group, gender, race, and those type of things that we can share with the employers. We can also do compensation. Again, we talked about that. And so, but what we want to do down here is we want to look at the distinguishing skills, defining skills, and necessary skills. And right now, for distinguishing skills, it's lagging right now at nearly 4% with all the applicants that are posting that. And so let's go into defining skills. And here's where it shows are rapidly growing. Some are stable. So billing is rapidly growing. So that's becoming more of a skill that they must have as an accountant. Accounts receivable is rapidly growing. Fair Debt Collection Practice Act is stable, and so on. And so you can see here, sometimes if it's in red, it's lagging. So right now that doesn't show that here. But again, we share these skills with the employer so they can have a better idea of how to post their job descriptions. And we, as the Department of Labor and Employment, have a better idea on coaching our job seekers as well. So the necessary skills, outbound calls and things of that nature, finance, these are the top 3 skills. Accounting software are rapidly growing. So we want to make sure they're aware of again, what the industry wide is counting on and demanding and that sort of thing. So a lot of information thrown at you, right? Well, let's put it all together now. Let's do let me go in and look at the let me see here.
While you're pulling that up, Tom, Tara or Tara, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Feel free to come off of mute and let me know. But while you're pulling that up, Tom, they had a couple questions.
Okay.
So does Lightcast work in tandem with Paylocity information?
I'm Paylocity. That's more of a paying, if I understand it correctly. That's more of a. I mean, I know they do have some other uh, information and whatnot. Off the top of my head, I've not been exposed to that. I can double check, but I don't believe is one of their sources because it could be. I just have to get a definitive answer for you on that. I'm not aware that it is Paylocity, but it may be. But I can surely look into that. If you want to leave your name and an email address, I can get back to you on that. And I apologize, I don't have a definitive answer now, but that's an interesting question because I've never been posed that. But
Uh,
yeah, we can
and
surely
then
look into that. Yes.
they had another one. So I've heard of fake job notices, perhaps created by bots. Where is the information being pulled from, and how credible is the data?
Lightcast, if I understand the question correctly, the information is being pulled for Lightcast, and let me just elaborate on that. They pull information from various resources. U.S. Department of Labor. They also use state information from all states in the country, and they also have other resources that I can't even think of right now because
Yeah, I can help you out, Tom.
yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, BLS. And then like the job postings, they pull from all major job boards. So
Mhm.
there probably is going to be a little bit of noise in there just because most of the job boards are uh, it's not incredibly hard to post jobs on there. But I would say overall, it's pretty reliable. So yeah, on the job posting side, they scrape from all major sources. They have all of the major data sources, BLS, the ones that Tom mentioned. They also, on the supply side, uh, look at profiles on LinkedIn, Overflow, Stack Overflow, GitHub. They process a ton of job descriptions and that information as well. I was just looking on their website, Tom. I just pulled it up.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
did that answer your question? Or I believe the second question we answered, but we can get back to you. Okay. Yep, they said thumbs up. I'll let
Okay.
you get going again, Tom.
Okay. We're good on that. No other questions? Okay, so what I want to do here lastly is show you the original job description for the Conejos County Department of Social Services. This is their original copy, okay, or original job description that they would post, and it's pretty it's been used for a number of years. Nothing has changed except for maybe some of the requirements, some of the salary information, and if the benefits have changed and things of that nature. So what I would just want to show here is, and this is like 4 pages long or something like that, or three to 4 pages long. So there's two different positions there. So what we did is we will take the Lightcast information, all those skills, the knowledge and whatnot, and we'll combine them. So what I did is I took their general employment or job description, and I would put in the skill and I would recommend the task and that sort of thing. So some of these skills on this um, caseworker number 3, some of these skills they would do, you'll see it in the purple color, and then the task is in the blue color. So, and I did this manually, but I'm going to also show you what AI can do. And of course, it'll be faster, but you always want to check that. But this is what so I took what the skill was from from Lightcast, and I matched it up to their tasks. Okay, and so critical thinking. So these are just enhancing it. It's a manual thing that I did, but we don't have to do it manually. I just wanted to get a better feel for because obviously this would take longer to do. But if you can see active listening, communication, some of those you're going to see in how about negotiation, that type of thing. And in terms of the caseworker three. Okay, so that is a generic with a little bit of editing in there. So let's take a look at here's AI with the Lightcast. And what we did is we just said, hey, join this information with that information and come up with a job description. So Lightcast took the same information and it created its own uh, job description. It added some percentage in there, and it's saying it's 97% important. If you remember that number on the accountant, that was about the same a percentage point. So it put that in there. So it just describes that it's really important to have active listening as a caseworker here. And so it's matching the skills to the tasks that they're expecting. And so this is the AI with Lightcast, and it makes it much shorter and it's easier to read and so on and so forth. But as you can see, it's probably a page or two less. And then what I ended up doing is through Lightcast, I ended up sending, so they know how we've got the information. I ended up sending the knowledge that's required for this position for caseworker. And again, it shows the importance and the level. And I also sent them uh, let me get to it here. Um, the skills that we talked about. If you saw in the job description, you saw active listening, social perceptiveness, critical thinking, and so on and so forth. So they know exactly what skills we're talking about and where we got it. And then the last one that I used is the abilities. So these are the abilities that, as a caseworker, under this example, that again, that AI, Lightcast, and perhaps other resources, including their own initial job description, combined everything together. So, and that's what we sent to them, and the response was they're excited. They're going to review this, and they want to work with us moving forward to get this done over all their jobs in the county level. So any questions, any other information or things you'd like to review? If I went too fast or if you have any questions, does this make sense on putting this all together? Uh, I mean, now it's like when I first went through this training, it's like, wow. I mean, I mean, it just makes perfect sense. But we don't all think that same way. We didn't all know this until now. So, excuse me. So, um, this is where we're trying to work with the employers. At the same token, we're trying to have our career coaches coach them on, upgrading their resumes and their applications and using the same type of skills. So the employers will match evenly or more evenly with the job seekers. So any questions here?
So Polly asked,
Comments? I'm sorry?
what is our step one for getting started? Is it to reach out to workforce?
Depending on where you're located, you can reach out to your workforce center if you'd like. You can also reach out to one of us, Shandon or I. We are a team, a business strategy or business development team that we cover all 51 states throughout the state. And so ultimately, our team would be the ones working with you. But if you want to just reach out to your local workforce center, that could be step one. At the end of this demonstration, we will show you our contact information, and then we can also put you in touch with whom might be represented in your area. So there are a couple options. You can always go to our websites and so on to also get that information, but we'll be happy to be your first stop if you would like.
Awesome. And then one more. Sorry if I missed it. What is the difference between importance and level? I understand the importance piece.
Okay, the importance, of course, is the how important it is, but the level is that only if you look at it like a percentage, there's only 63% that fit in that category or where that it's important. Okay, so that's why those two numbers are vary because it's the industry sees it as a very important ability. In this case, you see problem sensitivity, but only 63 people or 63% have that ability or are aware of that. And so they're never going to match because the number of what's important is going to lack in those who may provide that specific ability, knowledge, or skill. Did I answer your question?
Yep.
Okay.
All
Any other
right.
questions?
And if you do think of something afterwards, Tom and I are both responsive and happy to answer any follow-up questions or about anything we go over today or about anything business related or workforce related. We work with all of the teams across the state, so we are happy to connect you with the right person or answer your questions. So are you all finished, Tom?
All yours, my man.
All right. Awesome. So we went over skills first. Tom did and described while I'm bringing up my screen and describe the new Connecting Colorado, how to update your job descriptions. And so the exciting part, we're going to show you what that looks like in our system um, as an employer. You see my screen, Tom? Good to go. Cool. All right. So the new Connecting Colorado, when you get to the homepage, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to say, Welcome to Connecting Colorado. So whether you're a job seeker or an employer, this is your first stop. Some employers already have accounts. Let me turn on my camera. Some employers already have accounts, but they haven't accessed them since the new launch last June. So we are happy to help you navigate that and get into your account. If you don't have an account, this is where you're going to want to click register as an employer. And it'll go through, ask for your FEIN. Once you get that information submitted, it goes to a business development rep across the state, wherever your local area is. They will pick that up, reach out to you, approve your account, and just let you know that they'll be working with you. If you do come across any job seekers, it would be the same thing. If they don't remember their password, they can click forgot password or just register as a brand new employer. Oh. So really quickly, I'm going to show you what a job seeker profile looks like and why it's so important that our career services reps work with job seekers. But it's also important to see this from the employer perspective to see what skills, how our system goes about doing that. So as you can see, I know Polly heard the joke, but when I created this, I used my state of Colorado application. Um, and I just copied it from NeoGov website, placed it in here. One of my reasons for leaving a job was I had to have a hip replacement, even though I'm young. And so that was my top skill, apparently. But what it does is our system helps job seekers pull out those skills. So this system utilizes AI to go deeper than just keyword matching or um, just keyword matching or the traditional job search engines where they're like, you're looking for an accountant, like Tom mentioned. And so they just look for people who say accounting. Our system goes deeper. It's not traditional. It's not your grandfather's database where it's like we're just matching this and that. So our system uses AI, deep learning. It's trained on over 1.5 billion career paths. So you know, our system, if someone is a retail manager, they're probably going to be a good fit for a project manager or vice versa because they share a lot of the similar skills. So I just wanted to briefly show you what the job seeker side look like, just so that you can see, how our system teases things out. QuickBooks, service support, letter writing, Canva. It pulled all of that stuff out and then it'll recommend jobs, that I may have not even thought, like a creative director or something like that, where I wasn't searching for a creative director, but based on this profile that I have set up here, it's going to mention that to me. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and pull up the employer side so we can uh, look at what you would be looking at if you decide to utilize our system. Again, I always mention this throughout the presentation. our services are completely free. It's paid by your tax dollars, so you never have to worry about budget or anything when you do any work with us. So let me stop sharing and I'll start sharing another screen. Did anybody have any questions over that section while I'm pulling that up? And quiet bunch. Or me and Tom are just so good that we're answering all of your questions.
I'd go with that latter one. Lots of great information.
All right. Tom, good on the screen. You can see.
Yeah, got a good feel.
Okay, awesome. All right, so you go through, you register, and now you're ready to go. You've talked to your BDR rep from your local area, and they've approved your account. This is what it's going to look like. This is your home screen. So as you go through here, we're not going to go through all of these today, partly due to time, partly because some of them won't apply to you if you're just posting a position. I know that some of my team members worked with Woodruff Memorial Library in La Junta, and they did an internship for youth, a large youth push. So we pay the costs. We have a work-based learning program. So if that's something that interests you, we can definitely connect you with your local rep, or if you're in one of our areas, our local rep. But we did that, and that's where some of these forms or timesheets are going to come into play. What I want to show, and kind of the magic of the new system, I don't know if any of you use the old system, but it was absolutely ancient. It must have been running on the oldest version of whatever program they used. Our new system, like I said, it's AI. It's built on functionality. The user interface is great to play around with, use. So today, I'm just going to go through some of those features. So right when you get into the job posting portal, you can create a position. So I'll just show you briefly what that looks like. Position title, work location, job description. That's where I want to really highlight working with your local business development rep with the Workforce Colorado is key. You know, if you don't have uh, uh, if you haven't worked with Skills First at all, it's great. We can utilize Lightcast to help you put together a job description that's going to match you with the right candidates. The system already uses AI in the background to do some of that for you, but really where our system gets supercharged is when the employers are writing skills first job descriptions. So they're taking out those unnecessary requirements. I understand doctor, lawyer, probably some library positions, you have to have that degree. But there are a lot of positions that you don't have to have that degree. So I think working with your local BDR to uh, update your job description is a great idea. But coming through here, when you're doing this, your address, your zip code, we'll be able to expand that, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. But it just goes through and you can enter all of this information. So I'll back out of here. I'm going to show you some positions that are listed. This is our demo account, by the way. So we'll pull up this position. So the amazing part about the new system is based on that AI, those 1.5 billion parameters, what our system does is it matches candidates to your position. So this person is a head coach, 5 years experience, title relevance. So it's looking at that title, work relevance, and experience relevant. So based on our system and the way that we do it, we show you who those top candidates are. You can post positions for local areas. Let's say you're looking very specific, maybe it's a remote position or part-time remote position. You can expand or narrow that area, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But our system tells you, hey, these are the best candidates, not just based on titles, but based on those inferred skills that our system utilizes. Another amazing feature in our new system is you can directly message candidates through our system and say, hey, um, you look like the perfect match for us. Here is our job posting link if you didn't put it, in the original job posting, but you can reach out to them. It acts as an applicant tracking system. I'm assuming that the library probably utilizes their own tracking system, payment processing system. But for our smaller employers in rural areas, it's amazing because you can send job offers through our system and so on. So this is probably my favorite part of the entire system is the calibration. So what it does is it expands or narrows the talent pool based on the parameters you set. So ideal candidate for this position was Denver, Colorado. But let's say we opened it up to the entire state of Colorado. I'm assuming it's going to expand greatly. I mean, Denver's, a large portion of the state, but this number should increase as you're doing that. So what this does is it gives employers that ability to expand or narrow the pools. Let's say you, as a library director, are sitting on a position and you're like, I just really wish we could fill this position. Let's say we have relocation assistance, or maybe you don't, but maybe somebody lived in your area at one time. They have this skill set and they're wanting to move back, but they just don't know about your position. This is where you can utilize the system to expand it to the entire state of Colorado. Tom.
Sorry to interrupt there. We do have a question in
Sure.
the chat, so I thought I'd bring it to your attention. Uh, here's the question. Based on recent Colorado legislation around using AI in hiring, is there anything that must be disclosed to applicants? Now, I'm not aware of anything off the top of my head, but I don't know, Shandon, you might have more insight on that. I'm
I
not sure.
will, yeah, I will have to get back to you on that. I am familiar, not very familiar with the recent legislation. I know that if AI is involved or does make suggestions that does need to be disclosed. So I would likely have to get with legal or somebody else to get an answer for you. But I'm happy to follow up on that question. Great point. Great point. So it looks like I don't know if my system's frozen or something's going on. Um, but I'll speak about this really quickly because I do want to leave a few minutes at the end. But this would expand the pool if we went to the entire state. Something must be going on with my computer. Ideal candidate, skills or keywords. Let's say they have to have some specialized skill for your position at the library. This is where you're going to want to put that, and it's more than likely going to narrow that pool. Um, if you're looking for vice president, senior director, all of these things are tools to help you refine your candidate pool. 44 likely to respawn. So what that number is people who are interacting with our system on a regular basis. I believe there's 150,000 plus profiles in Connecting Colorado. People may have signed up 10 years ago when we migrated our system. That information got pulled over. So that likely to respond, that is the people who are engaging in our system or have responded to um, other outreach or campaigns that the system will automatically send. But as you can see, all this does is expand or narrow that pool. And once you have the calibration to where you want it, you're going to go back and see, I'll go back to the head coach position. Your refined candidate pool is going to show up here and give you those best matches where you can go ahead and as you can see, our system's in Spanish and English. You can go ahead and send your own personalized emails to those candidates. And on that note, I'm going to end it for the demo, just to leave a few minutes for questions. Did anybody have any specific Connecting Colorado questions?
Just checking, you mentioned there's about 150,000 applicants in the system there. And then from that, that's from over the past 10 years. So it most likely there's some in there that might not be looking for something just now, but it still provides that opportunity for you to reach out to them. They can remove
Yeah,
themselves if they don't want to be included in the system anymore.
and I may have misspoke. I believe there's way more profiles than that. I do know that, yeah, I believe there's much more profiles. That may be the active number. So
Yeah,
there
but
are quite a few people in the system. Yeah.
yeah, also, Polly, we can in the system they can flag or they can say, "Don't contact me," so they can go in and update their profile. So if they want to get emails or uh, announcements of hiring events and things of that nature, they can be flagged for that, and they set that up themselves, so they're not getting bombarded with all these emails if they don't want or whatever. So there's some other capabilities that keeps that to a minimum for them as a job seeker.
That's great. I know that I've seen some of the reports that have been pulled for different industries regionally, and it's fantastic as far as looking at those wage comparisons, because I know that's something that a lot of our library staff maybe don't have a full expertise in and don't have a membership to or funds available to do that search privately. And so this is an opportunity for people to use. And some of the projected jobs and skills in the area and needs and wants um, has been super helpful looking at internships and things along those lines.
We are truly always happy to help. We're always available to help. And I did want to mention one last point on Connecting Color. If you do have a job posting, you're having trouble, we have the ability to send out campaigns. If you don't want to message people directly one-on-one, we have the ability to send out mass campaigns to really highlight your positions with the libraries.
So Tara has a question. She's asking if we have an account, if they have an account, and I'm not sure who you're referring to as we. So it says that I didn't think we had in a profile, but then did forget the password. So when you say we, do you folks have Tara, I'm not sure who you're speaking or referring to. Is that through you, Polly, or is that?
I think that's through, yep, the library district that she represents, and
Oh, okay.
discovered
Okay.
that, hey, actually do have an account and it's good to go. So I can
Okay.
use, which is great. I love
Perfect.
it. I love it.
So
Just in case any more questions come through, or if anybody wants to unmute and go ahead and ask a question, you're welcome to. I did just drop in the link, sorry, it's super long one, for survey for today's session. And also before we end, thank you so much to both Tom and Chandan for your time in putting this together. Very much appreciate it. And was seeing some side chats in there as far as what a great tool. How do we get more people to be aware of this and to use it? And so something for us as we pass out to our various library districts and can kind of champion with those quotes. It's really
yeah.
wonderful. Appreciate it.
Polly, I do have an update on the question regarding what is it called? Paylocity.
Hmm.
Um, Lightcast does not work with Paylocity at this time. So, but if you're interested or concerned or would like to see whatever information, that this Lightcast it works well with us. They are very supportive. most likely we can get that information for you. If it's just a general question, then the answer is they do not work with that agency.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you looking that up,
And
Tom.
I dropped my email in the chat if anybody wants to copy that, and I'm sure it'll be sent out as well. But if you have any burning questions, please email me.
Thank you so much, Chandon and Tom. Appreciate it, and I highly recommend, encourage our libraries to reach out to you as employers and take advantage of the wonderful resources that are available to us. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a wonderful afternoon and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.